We are back with ESPN Sal Paolantonio. Sal Pal, of course, we know him reporting forever on the NFL. And, of course, at the NFL Matchup Show, which we were just talking, Sal, we love your team. Darius Butler, Greg Cosell, and you, ESPN, ESPN2. You can catch it Saturday and Sunday mornings. And also, you can catch it forever on ESPN+. How did that team come together? That's a great squad.
Yeah, it is. Thanks a lot, Pete. Thanks for mentioning the show. Darius Butler is just a terrific former defensive back. He's also on the Pat McAfee show. And we like to have somebody from defense to balance out Greg Cosell, who is a terrific guy on quarterbacks. He's our quarterback guru, our quarterback whisperer. You know, we had Matt Bowen before Darius Butler. Matt Bowen was a great safety. Before that, Louis Riddick, who also played in a secondary. And before that, before Cosell was on the show, we had Jaws and Merrill Hodge. So we like the balance of defense with Greg Cosell, and it gives us an all-22 look to our breakdowns of matchups. You know, what we like to say on the show is that the NFL game is a game of matchups, and you have to pay attention to that week in and week out if you really wanted to figure out who's going to have the edge, who's going to win the ball game.
All right, so when I was growing up in Philly, my dad used to read you all the time. I mean, especially politically early on, I can remember, and then obviously on the Eagles beat. Who was your favorite politician to cover in Philly? Were you ever on like the Frank Rizzo beat?
I covered Frank Rizzo's last two campaigns for mayor in 1987 and 1991, and I wrote his biography, The Last Big Man in Big City America, which came out in 1993. Actually, Pete, believe it or not, in the year 2025, just got another royalty check for that book. It has some great legs to it because of the Rizzo name and how powerful Frank Rizzo was. I spent a lot of time with him before he died working on the book, and then when he died on July 20th, 1991, I put aside my coverage of the campaign in 91. I did continue to cover it, but not as exclusively, and tried to finish the book, which goes all the way back to the 1860s, to Frank Rizzo's grandfather's involvement in Garibaldi's army for the unification of Italy, and travels all the way through the 20th century experience of Italian immigration in the Philadelphia area, as well as breaking down the history of politics in Philadelphia and the fight between Democrats and Republicans for control of the city, and what Rizzo's role was involved, first as police commissioner, then as mayor. And he ran, of course, as you know, Pete, 5 times for mayor of Philadelphia, and he was a national figure. There's one chapter in the book on just his relationship with Richard Nixon.
Dude, unbelievable stuff. It leads me to my next question as we get into the Eagles. More colorful guy to cover, Frank Rizzo or Buddy Ryan? I know you're probably on the tail end of, but I mean, dude, those are two of my favorite Philly personalities of all time.
Well, Rizzo, it's hard to top Rizzo, but I loved Buddy Ryan because he was just such a great student of the great game, but also an ex-Marine during the Korean War. So he had such a great balanced view of life and football that I was able to learn so much from him. Remember, at the time that I started covering the Eagles, I was in my mid-30s. Now I'm 69 years old, so long time. And I had just stopped covering politics, and I was put on the Eagles beat by the editors of the paper because they were looking for somebody to do the Eagles, and they asked me to jump over to sports. And I'd never covered sports before, actually, since college. So I really relied on Buddy in the beginning to teach me the game and the ins and outs of NFL politics. And man, what an education that was, I got to tell you. And by the way, I don't know, Pete, if you agree with me or not, I think Buddy Ryan should be in the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. So Buddy Ryan was the defensive coordinator of the 85 Bears that absolutely demolished all of the competition on their record run to a Super Bowl title. He's the godfather of the 46 defense. He was also the defensive coordinator of the greatest upset in Super Bowl history. He was the defensive coordinator of the Jets.
Jets, yeah.
Under Weeb Eubank when Joe Namath beat the Colts. So he is the author of two of the greatest Super Bowl defenses of all time. I think, in my humble opinion, and I'm a voter in Canton for enshrinement, I think Buddy Ryan should be in the Hall.
Is there, for the 46 defense, and you mentioned like being the architect or something like that, is there another way he could get in as like a contributor too, if they saw fit or you guys saw fit?
Yep, contributor. I think there should be an assistant coach put in, like every 2 to 3 or 5 years. You know, we should recognize Monty Kiffin, Bud Carson, definitely Buddy Ryan, Tom Moore. There's a bunch of Dante Scarnecchia, the offensive line coach of the New England Patriots. There's a lot of guys that
we were talking yesterday to Randy Cross, and Bob McKittrick was a guy who he brought up right away.
A great idea. Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Howard Mudd.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm on it. I'm on it. All right. Let's get to the Phils now. Present day. Right behind you, you got your book, Philly Special, right? That's about a very special team, a very special occasion, and just an amazing moment in history, that 2017 team. If you were to write one more chapter, like, you know, a postscript about that season and about that team as we move into present day, what would it have been?
Keep Nick Foles. One of the worst decisions that the franchise has ever made was getting rid of Foles and keeping Wentz. If they had kept Foles and Peterson together, they would have won another Super Bowl.
Now, someone like you who was around the locker room and you knew the inner workings, right, ins and outs, and you can't report all of it because that's, you know, who you are as a journalist with integrity. You had a ton of info on that situation. At the time, in your heart of hearts, did you know, wow, this is the wrong move to make?
I did, and I said it publicly, Pete. You know, it doesn't really matter what was going on in the locker room sometimes, but in this case, it does. So not only was Foles the right choice from a football standpoint, but he was the right choice from a leadership standpoint. People make fun of me all the time, Pete. I think Nick Foles has got to be in the Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia Eagles players. He was the Super Bowl MVP for the first Super Bowl title of the team. I mean, come on. I mean, it's Reggie White, Nick Foles, and Van Buren, and then fill in the blank. I mean, I think Jalen Hurts could be right there. I think this Eagles team that won last year was one of the top three. SI is coming out with a list of the top Super Bowl teams. I voted it as the top Super Bowl team of all time. I did. I think it's right there with the Niners of 89, the Bears of 85, certainly, and probably the second Steelers team that won the Super Bowl in the 70s. I forget the exact year. And, of course, the Packers team that won that second Super Bowl in the 60s.
Those first two teams you mentioned, and they put total punctuation marks on their seasons, just absolutely demolishing the competition, right? The Patriots got killed by the Bears. The 49ers and the 89 team crushed the Broncos at the Superdome. Yep. And then the Eagles demolished, right, Kansas City last year. To this Eagles team. Big change in the offseason, obviously. I feel like, and maybe this is because I'm in Texas now, and I still read it all, but maybe I don't hear as much as I used to. The Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts relationship with the removal of Kellen Moore, was that fence mended to a point where they're good to go from here? Or is there a chance maybe that there is maybe some discord this year without Kellen Moore around?
No, I think it's totally mended, and it was mended last season. They're really in a good place, the two of them. I really believe that. Hey, you win a Super Bowl together. That mends all fences. It heals all wounds. But here's the thing. Sirianni was the MVP last year, Pete. The way he kept that team together after that bad start, the way he listened to his players and adapted his frame of mind and approach, adapted his football approach and his coaching approach. He listened to the offensive line when they came in. They knocked on his door. came in after the week 4 loss in Tampa, which was a disaster, and said, our team should run through number 26. And let's just put it on our backs. And then the analytics department has figured out something really interesting that a lot of people don't talk about, Pete. But we'll talk about it on your show. I have talked about it a little bit. The Eagles have the heaviest offensive line in the NFL. Biggest, heaviest. Why? Well, in the last 25 years, NFL defenses have been slowly shrinking in size because they want faster, lighter players to defend the passing game. That has been the evolution of defenses in the 21st century, to the point where in 2024, there were 220 starters in the NFL in the front seven that were 240 pounds or less. That's the lightest ever in NFL history. Lightest ever. So the Eagles have figured out, listen, we get a big offensive line. We pound these light defenses. We're going to be able to move the ball at will. And when you watch a lot of these other week 1 games compared to what the Eagles are, you see that the Eagles are always in control of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Even when they're not in control of the game. And when you control the line of scrimmage in the NFL like that, you are able to do what you want to do, whether it's hand it to Barkley, whether it's swing passes to Goddard, finding Devontae Smith occasionally downfield, getting those in-cut routes to A.J. Brown, although that did not happen week 1. Or, more important, Jalen Hurts finding a way to run on 3rd down or throw on 3rd down. Pete, he was 6 for 6 on 3rd down.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He was 6 for 6. I mean, that's pretty good. And the Packers did a really good job of playing matchup man-to-man. They matched up. And, people want to make a lot of A.J. Brown having no targets until the 4th quarter, first time in his career. But A.J. Brown, you go back and watch the film, Pete, A.J. Brown was a willing and competitive blocker on many of the plays that Jalen Hurts got first downs with his legs. He's a smart player, tough player, good blocker, didn't put up the big numbers. And I was looking at some numbers this morning to get ready for your show. So Puka Nacua of the Rams, he had 130 receiving yards. The Rams saw way more than anybody on the Eagles in that game. The Rams only scored 14 points against the Texans at home. So another one, Joe Flacco had 290 passing yards, lost the game. So numbers don't tell the whole story in the National Football League. Travis Etienne of the Jaguars, they won the game. He had 143 rushing yards. You got to look at, in this league right now, the way things are set up, rushing attempts are the number 1 determining factor in who wins or loses. We're in the middle of a running back revolution in the National Football League. 5 teams had more than 500 rushing attempts last year. 5. All 5 made the playoffs. Eagles, number 1, won the Super Bowl. The next 4 had 450 to 500 yards rushing attempts. All 4 of them made the playoffs. That's the first time that's ever happened in the NFL, ever.
Now, are some of these, like, you have these coaches with these great egos, and ego sometimes gets a bad rap. It's what you need sometimes to be successful on that level. Have they had to swallow some pride? Because we're talking about innovators here, right? Like, is that something that's happening now around the league? Like you mentioned the Sirianni thing. Guys knock on his door. Hey, we got to run the football. We got to run it down their throat with Saquon.
Well, I've always been a big believer, Pete, that your personnel should determine your approach, your philosophy, and your scheme. It is a players' league. Now, design matters, of course, no question. So let's just look at design specifically, since we're focused on Philadelphia. Now, the design of Kevin Patullo's offense, first time out, calling plays, in his NFL career in week 1. So he's feeling his way out. But I would have liked to have seen some pitches, reverses, 9 routes out of A.J. Brown. Creative and different ways to get him the football. Not for nothing, he's also very good one-on-one coming down with the ball. Just throw it to him and trust him. But I think what's been pounded into Jalen's head, and rightly so, listen, we will control the line of scrimmage. You control the football. Remember that, Pete.
Yeah.
Remember that. We will control the line of scrimmage. You control the football. Don't turn it over. It's more important that you don't turn it over and you don't take sacks than you have completions, because we can run up the number of rushing attempts. And you look at Monday night last night, right? Now, Ben Johnson you was talking about so-called innovators, Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson had a 2-back set in Detroit. He should have just taken that offense, superimposed it on Caleb Williams in Chicago, and said, this is our identity. We will get 2 backs. We've reformulated our offensive line under new GM Ryan Pace, and we will just control the line of scrimmage, and we will ask Caleb Williams to make a few plays with his arms and with his legs. Caleb Williams is pretty fast. He showed that last night. But in the end, they didn't control the game. It got away from them.
I love that response. And it brings me back a couple more questions for you, because I know you're a busy guy and I so appreciate this. Jalen Hurts, you've covered him obviously since he came into the league. What has been the biggest change for him as a player, as a dude, whatever it is, that has allowed him to, I mean, we know how committed he is, right? That's like, I know that from 30,000 feet, but like someone like you knows why exactly he has evolved into this, I mean, perfect steward for the Eagles offense. It's pretty amazing. And as a fan, you know, I got my Eagles helmet right here, even though I'm a Cowboys country. I knock on wood a little bit, you know, because it's pretty damn good right now.
Yeah, and Pete, you know, I'm not an Eagles fan. I grew up in New York. I don't really root for any teams. I can't do that. I don't want to do that. You know, my job is to tell the story of the game and these players. But I interviewed Jalen Hurts his rookie season. And I interviewed Mike Vick, Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, Donovan McNabb, Randall Cunningham, all the Eagles starting quarterbacks for the last 30 years. And at a young age of 23, I found that Jalen Hurts was so focused and so determined and such a gentleman. I was super impressed. I said to myself, this guy is the son of a coach, you know, from Texas. He really understands what he wants to do. Like he always says, I had a purpose before you had an opinion. Now, he said that when he was 23. That's pretty good. I wasn't saying 23. Now, I was a Navy officer at age 23, but still, you know, he obviously learned a lot from his dad. So very early on, he had a singular focus and an idea of who he wanted to be. And you used the word evolve. And he has evolved as he's become more confident in his game and more confident as a leader, and gotten coaching from Shane Steichen, from Nick Sirianni, and from the players around him. But he was asked a very interesting question this summer. Do you have more confidence now that you've won a Super Bowl? And his answer was, well, yeah, of course. You know, when you win a Super Bowl, you feel like you can basically do anything. And so I've watched his, I won't say maturation, because he was mature from the beginning. I think I'm going to go back to your word. You know, and all people evolve. They all have evolutions through different parts of their life, but his has been steady on a steady rise. And then the other thing is, Pete, watch him at the line of scrimmage. You know, Tom Brady said at the beginning of the season, quarterbacks are not as cerebral anymore. They're all not Jalen Hurts is cerebral. He gets to the line of scrimmage. He knows what the defense is doing. He's got the answers to the tests pre-snap. He can get the Eagles out of bad plays. It really started last year when they went into M&T Bank Stadium and waxed. Remember that game? They waxed the Ravens.
Yeah.
Watch that game closely. That's Jalen Hurts getting out of bad plays and getting into good ones and calling his own number off of other things. When you have 26-1 and you have to occupy your mind and personnel to both of those guys being able to run with the football, that's diabolical. It really is. And then you put up there Mailata, who's a oak tree on ice skates, and Lane Johnson, who's going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame over here on this side. And in the middle, oh, by the way, you have Mr. Nasty Man, Landon Dickerson, and Cam Jurgens, who would rather eat your lunch than talk to you. So you got, I think, the 4 of the 5 best offensive linemen together in the NFL, all coached by the best offensive line coach, and Jeff Stoutland, who's also the run coordinator. Health is important. They were the second healthiest team in the league last season. They were lucky with injuries. They're set up to go back. They are set up to go back. If Jerry Jones had not traded Micah Parsons to Green Bay, they'd probably skate to the NFC Championship game.
So that's the consensus, right? Green Bay is the team in their way. I got one more question for you before let you out of here. What is the biggest story?
By the way, Pete, your questions are great.
Thanks.
You're a great interviewer. You're great.
Thank you very much.
And I don't throw that around a lot. I mean, this is the first time you and I have met one another.
Yeah.
First time I've been on the air with you. I could talk like this with you for 2 hours. You listen, you answer, you ask good follow-up questions. You're good.
Coming from you, that means more than you know. Last one. Let's see if I can avoid screwing it up. What is the number one story in the NFL right now that people are not talking about?
It's a one-score league, Pete. Go back to last year. The largest number of games in NFL history in a single season was decided by 8 points or less. Now, look at what happened in week 1, just in the last 2 games, Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. I mean, even though the Eagles were favored by what, 8 at one point, 8.5, almost 9. Mm-hmm. I think it got up to 9. I mean, listen, I don't gamble. I'm not allowed because of our policy, and I don't want to. I gamble on my children and my grandchildren, which is a lot more fun for me. All my money goes to them. But, I do give gambling advice once in a while. Don't give out big numbers in the NFL. Just don't. It's a one-score league. The Eagles were favored by 9. I said to guys before the game at the link, I said, just be careful. Anything can happen, especially in this league. Late game turnovers, injuries, guys spitting on another guy before the ball is snapped. I mean, I've covered over 1,000 games as a professional sports person. First time I ever saw that, Pete. Wow.
I wish I talked to you last week. I lost a bet to Matt Mosley. I gave him the Cowboys and the points, but bad move by me.
You lost a bet to Matt Mosley. Of all people, Maron, what happened to you?
Tell me about it, Sal. Man, thank you so much, Sal Pal. We so appreciate it. Folks, make sure you watch NFL Matchup. That's the show you got to see. Greg Cosell, Darius Butler, of course, our man Sal Pal, ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN Plus. It'll live there forever if you want to check it out. Sal, thanks so much, man.
Hey, Pete, let's do this again. Let's say like in 4 weeks, reach out to me and we'll see where we are, all right?
I'd love that, Sal. It's an honor. Thanks so much.
Pleasure to talk to you.
The great Sal Paolantonio. Wow. That was a pretty awesome conversation. Probably put it up there, the top 3 of my life. Might be a little premature, but, that was really awesome. I got to interview Adam Silver once when I was in Charlotte. That was pretty cool, but not that cool. All right, the Pete Souza Show continues after this. Scotty and I will break it down, and we'll see if Scotty's camera is a little lighter, because Scotty is always light. Call it the sunlight of the spirit splashing through this guy. All right, thanks to Sal Paolantonio. Remember, honestly, watch that matchup show. It's pretty cool that he continues to carry that legacy, because obviously Jaws and Merrill Hodge, I haven't drank in 14 years, and those guys were like in lockstep with all my hangovers when I went out like years ago. It was Merrill Hodge, and it was Jaws, and it was a splitting headache, and Jaws breaking it all down for me, which was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun early on Saturday or Sunday. All right, we'll be back after this. Presented by Slovaceks. The Pete Souza Show continues.